I hadn't left the house in 4 days. Not because the door was locked, but because every time I stood in front of it, I couldn't think of anywhere I'd want to go. The house was quiet, like it was holding its breath. Outside, the heat shimmered across the garden tiles, air thick with mosquitoes and sunlight. But inside, it was cool. Not from the fan. From something else, something that settled over my skin like a shiver I couldn't shake. She wasn't home. I didn't ask where she went. We don't really do that anymore. The gecko chirped from behind the fridge. A spoon clinked faintly in a cup no one was drinking from. It should have felt peaceful. It used to. But something was different now. Not in the air, not in the room, in me. And the strangest part is, this is the life I chose. I left Chiang Mai for this. Traded coffee shops and co-working spaces for something quieter, something slower, something real. I thought I was escaping noise. But somehow, I ended up drowning in silence. And the scariest part? No one stopping me from walking out that door. I just don't. I was 31. Freelance SEO. Steady income. No drama. No breakup. Just too many browser tabs open in my head. Chiang Mai had its rhythm, iced coffee by 10, analytics dashboards by noon, beer by 8. Every second person was building a brand, scaling a funnel, optimizing their life. And I guess, for a while, I was too. But after 2 years, it all started to feel synthetic. Even the mountains felt like they were trying too hard. So I left. Rented a house on Koh Chang, near the edge of everything. More green. Less noise. It was perfect. I met Marley at a beach bar that didn't even have a name. Just a few plastic chairs, a cooler full of warm beer, and a Bluetooth speaker that someone had clearly dropped in the ocean at least once. She wasn't working. Not officially. She sat with some friends, and when I looked over, she looked back like we'd already met. She asked if I lived here. I said I was trying to. She said, then you need to see the waterfall. Not the famous one. The real one. That first night, she didn't ask for anything. She just sat beside me on the porch, her feet swinging off the edge, telling me which birds made which sounds in the dark. Her place was a single room above a laundry shop. Shared with her cousin, no Wi-Fi, no space for anyone else. Mine had space. And silence. And soft towels. So she stayed again. And again. Soon her toothbrush was next to mine. Then her phone charger. Then the way she answered the door for the both of us as if it had always been her home, too. And I didn't stop her. Because it felt good. And because I didn't see it happening. It didn't shift all at once. Just small things. At first, it was little comments. Don't go to that cafe, too many bar girls hang around there. I'll go to the market, it's too hot for you. That friend of yours from Chiang Mai are maybe not so good for you. They weren't commands. They sounded like care. Maybe they were. She started handling things before I could. Electric bills. Phone top-ups. Ordering dinner. She spoke better Thai, which, yeah, being Thai probably helped. She said it was easier that way, and I didn't argue. Eventually, I let her keep some of my documents, just to be safe. She said Island Post was unreliable. She was probably right. When we went out, she'd stay close. Not clingy. Just watchful. Once, a woman handed me a flyer near the ferry pier. Marley took it from my hand before I could read it. They just want something, she said, and tucked it into her bag without looking. Sometimes she'd disappear for hours. She'd come back with a story that felt slightly too detailed or not detailed enough. I stopped asking. When I really spoke, about how I missed the noise of Chiang Mai, the routine, the feeling of moving toward something, she'd go quiet. Not annoyed. Just still. and the stillness would last. It could be hours. It could be a day. Then she'd return with mangoes, or a smile, and it would all go back to normal. For a while. That's the part one didn't see then. It was never her silence that hurt me. It was how relieved I felt when she broke it. Then came a shift. Not a dramatic one, just a change in tone, like someone had turned the volume of life back up a little. She started waking before me again. Humming in the kitchen. Making real food, not just instant noodles. The playlist on her phone switched from those slow Thai ballads to the upbeat stuff she used to dance to while cleaning. And when I looked at her, she looked back. One morning, she sat on the edge of the bed, running her fingers through my hair, and said, "Let's go to Koh Chang." I laughed. She was serious. "You said you wanted quiet. We get a little house. Just us. Ocean. Clean air. No people." It sounded perfect. She even pulled up listings, bamboo cottages with hammocks, scooters for rent, and one little place with a view of the sea so blue it almost hurt to look at. She was radiant again. Playful. Present. Like she had found her way back to whatever made us work in the beginning. We sat together, legs tangled on the couch, talking about ferry times and how many days we'd stay. She packed a small bag. Told me to bring just the basics. And for the first time in weeks, I let myself believe we were okay. That whatever I'd felt, the distance, the doubt, was mine to fix, not hers to carry. I looked at her that night, her face soft in the TV light, and thought, maybe I just got scared. Maybe this is what settling down is supposed to feel like. It happened the night before we were supposed to leave. I was brushing my teeth when I heard her voice, soft, low, almost amused, speaking in Thai on the patio. She didn't know I was near the window. Didn't know the screen door was cracked just enough for sound to slip through. I heard my name. Then a pause. Then laughter. Not the kind she shared with me. Not gentle or private. This was different, open, careless, like someone who'd already moved on emotionally. I didn't understand the rest. Just tone. That's all it took. When she came inside, she hugged me and asked if I wanted tea. I said nothing. Not because I didn't want answers, but because I already knew I wouldn't believe any of them. Later that night, I checked my drawer, the one where I used to keep my passport, along with a bit of cash, and the ferry ticket I'd printed out. Empty. She was in the shower. I waited. When she came out, towel wrapped around her, humming something I didn't recognize, I asked, calmly, where the passport had gone. She didn't even pause. I moved it. It's safe. You don't need it now. That was it. Not a threat. Not an argument. Just the gentle assertion that my identity, my exit plan, was no longer mine to manage. I said okay. Because what else was I supposed to say? I stood in the hallway while she made tea, listening to the water boil and the quiet creak of the back door, the one she had recently started locking from the outside. That's when I knew the trip was never going to happen. And maybe neither was anything after that. The next morning, everything was normal. She made eggs. Played that same playlist she always did. The house smelled like basil and something sweet I couldn't place. She smiled at me like nothing had changed. And I smiled back like everything hadn't. I didn't ask about the passport. Didn't bring up the ferry. Didn't even check if the bag I'd packed was still by the door. Because the truth is, I didn't want to know. Not knowing gave me a cushion. A delay. A soft lie I could sit in a little longer. I told myself I'd figure it out later. That maybe she'd return it tonight, that maybe I'd wake up and feel brave enough to ask again. But I didn't. And she didn't. Instead, she brought me coffee. She sat next to me on the porch, her shoulder touching mine, and asked if I wanted to watch a movie later. I said sure. And hated myself for how easy it was. That's the part people don't talk about. Not the loss. Not the manipulation. But the way your body adjusts to being powerless without ever really making a sound. There were no locks on the windows. No chains on the door. Just the quiet pressure of convenience, and the creeping sense that leaving now would cost me more than staying ever would. And so I stayed. I used to scroll past those posts. The ones in expat forums, with titles like "Is it normal she has my bank card?" Or "Anyone else feels stuck here?" I thought those guys were careless. Soft. Weak. Now I read every word. I see versions of myself in their sentences, in their hesitations, in their quiet need to justify things that don't make sense unless you've lived it. I tell myself I'm different. That this isn't that. That I could leave anytime I want. But it's been 6 days. I haven't asked about my passport again. Haven't looked up the ferry schedule. Haven't told anyone back home that something feels wrong. The house still smells like jasmine in the mornings. She still makes coffee. She still smiles when she brings it to me. And I still smile back. Because it's easier than breaking whatever this is. Outside, Koh Chang is as beautiful as ever. Green hills. Blue water. Golden light. Inside, everything is quiet. Soft. Gentle. And I'm still here. Trapped.